name's Carl Huxemeyer, and I've been working here in Bangwelu. Well, I've been here for 7 years. I came first as a student to study the importance of the fish resources, and I work as a fisheries manager for the organization African Parks. African Parks manages all the conservation here in a public-private partnership with the Zambian government and also with the local community. This park is different to a classic national park in that we have between 60 and 80,000 people living in and around the wetlands, and they depend on the wetland resources for their livelihoods, particularly fish. Historically, they depended on the wildlife too. We have quite a lot of wildlife here. At the moment there's 50,000 black lechwe, and the numbers are growing. The lechwe represents also an additional form of income. Currently, mostly it's only accessible illegally through poaching, but with the 4,000 square kilometers of habitat that's protected in this area, there's definitely scope to also view the lechwe as a productive resource that can contribute to the livelihoods of people here and justify the reason why it needs to be conserved in their eyes. Bangwelu is far, it's remote. We have a few things that are real draw cards, like the shubel. The shubel is only really visible to tourists here in Uganda. So we receive a small number of tourists every year coming to see the shubels and the lechwe, but the numbers aren't big and it doesn't bring in very much revenue at all. This is a classic floodplain system. It's a boom and bust. It's highly variable. The fish stocks are tied into the water levels more than anything else, but through some management interventions like a closed breeding season at the beginning of the rains, we have managed to increase the stock somewhat, and fishermen are buying into the concept of managing and conserving the fish because they've seen an increase that they can appreciate. And we estimate that the fish stocks bring around $1 million worth of revenue directly into the community just in this part of the park where most of the wildlife is, and possibly anywhere between 5 and 8 million for the whole reserve and the communities around it as well. One of the major challenges we've had is that conservation has had a very difficult past in terms of the communities. They have mostly been at the receiving end of being arrested, being harassed over poaching the wildlife. There's no sense of ownership over the wildlife because it's perceived to belong to the government and not to them. That's beginning to change. A lot of the revenue made here is ploughed back into the communities through elected community committees. There's benefits like meat from trophy hunting that go back to the communities. There are a lot of people, so it's very hard for every person to say that he's seen some kind of a direct benefit, but what's important is that they still have access to resources like the fish, and there's a lot of scope here in future to consider also other wildlife resources too.